You back live with Ike Diaz and Rob on KBLP with sports. We're doing it big. We do it every Monday. Make sure you check it out. Hey, Rob, what's going on there?
Ready to get into this topic.
I know. I'm still running around trying to find scores and all kinds of stuff. I get into all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we got I don't know if you got a chance to recap any of the games, but real cool. We'll run through the games real quick. So the Bills and the Raiders, we wanted the Bills to win for the Broncos, so the Raiders pulled it out 38-24. Did you get a chance to see any of that game?
No, unfortunately I did not.
Yeah.
But I know that it was a good game.
Yeah, I went back to work, and it was 24-9 when I went back to work, and turned out to 38-24, so I was kind of on the upset end on that part, but and then you come over to the Buccaneers and the Chargers, which was actually a pretty good game for them. The Chargers, if they had a squad, they'd actually be running the AFC right now if they weren't in the AFC West. But they lost to the Buccaneers 28-21, and Phillip Rivers is getting up there in years. He's around the same age as me, so it's kind of tough. See, I'm always giving my age away. Did you get to check that one?
No, but I know LaDainian Tomlinson said before the season that they should trade Phillip Rivers to a contender.
Yeah, and the Broncos were brought up in that conversation, I think, correct?
Yeah, a little bit, but that would never happen. I mean, why would you trade him within the division?
Oh yeah, the San Diego Chargers wouldn't do it, but he would love to be. He would love to be here. Because of the defense, man. Everybody wants to be in Denver with that defense, man. Even though we got a few things to work on, as far as that defense is still beast. They're still beasts. This one was kind of confusing to me because the Giants had caught on. I said last week on the sports show that I thought the Giants were going to start getting on a roll, and they lost to the Steelers 24-14, which I was kind of confused about because they looked a little stronger than that. And with all the injuries the Steelers got that the Steelers have right now, you thought the Giants might have pulled that out. It still ended up being a 10-point game, so that was pretty good. I get.
Well, it wasn't a 10-point game. The Giants scored in garbage time, so it was really a 17-point game. And with a game like that, the Steelers being in the AFC where everybody's sort of a game or two apart, they needed it because they're the Raiders. The AFC West is going to have the wild cards and they needed to win their division.
Oh, yeah.
So they needed the Giants, they're up there. The Giants are going to be in the playoffs, so the Giants weren't desperate. The Steelers were desperate. They needed it.
Yeah, it was. I'm in my opinion, my dang chair. In my opinion, I'm still kind of shocked that the Giants lost that game. But I know what you mean. With the Broncos holding that last seed and how tight the North is over there in the AFC West, I see what you mean by them having to pull that out too. And then you come to the Redskins and the Cardinals, and that was a 31-23 game, which I almost at a point thought that the Redskins were going to pull that out. It seems like every week to me, the Redskins are going to pull out a game, and it just doesn't happen. I don't get why it doesn't happen.
The Redskins are one of those teams. What is their identity? Are they a running team? They're a passing team. Sometimes they seem efficient with the passing game, and then the very next week they it's 4 interceptions and they're not doing well, and they don't seem to have that sort of. They're decent everywhere, but not good anywhere, but not horrible anywhere.
Yeah, but then you look at the Cardinals, and the Cardinals were actually Super Bowl contenders last year, and now they're playing kind of like they squeaked out this win, but they look kind of like pretenders this year. You call them contenders or pretenders this year?
Oh, they're definitely pretenders.
Okay. I have been saying that. I like Carson Palmer. I just don't like him in the playoffs.
I don't like Carson Palmer this year. Last year in the playoffs, he was a train wreck, and this year he seems to be that same train wreck. And the Cardinals have a lot of good players. The problem is that Carson Palmer is driving the bus, and when the bus driver is going off the road and hitting stop signs and things like that, you're not going to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So then you come to the Bears and the 49ers. I guess Colin Kaepernick got benched at 26. Game was 26-6. I guess he threw for 4 yards or something. So that was pretty strange. And then Brent Osweiler played against the Packers. The Packers got him 21-13. I was never a Brock Osweiler fan. I don't know how you feel about him, Rob, but I had never. Last year, I was like, I couldn't wait to get back to Peyton Manning because I knew we couldn't go nowhere with him. He couldn't read defenses, so I don't know how you feel. I wish him the best in Houston. I hope everything goes good with this $72 million, but I call it the $72 man. Where you at with that, Rob?
I definitely thought that. I'm not a fan of his. But I think as a player, you play where you have the best chance to be successful, and the money will come later. Because he left for the money, but is he going to really see that contract? The money that's guaranteed is his. The rest, he's not going to see that. This is probably his last season starting in the NFL. So I think that if he had the opportunity, he should have stayed in Denver and grew with a great team. Yeah. It's easy to grow with a great team than to grow with a bad or an average team.
Yeah, but Elway, I talked about this a lot. I don't really want to get into it, but Elway and Brock Osweiler and his family, they pulled the wool over Houston. They really did, and it's just the honest truth. You know, Elway and Brock Osweiler's sons were best friends, and they pulled the wool over. They knew he couldn't read defenses. That's his big knock. He can't read a defense. I could see it. Everybody else in the world could see it. You know, I talk to people who don't know much about football, and they understand that. So good luck to you, Brent Osweiler, and I hope you do good down in Texas, and we'll see what happens. We talked about this earlier, the Chiefs and the Falcons. The Chiefs won 29-28, and we really needed the Falcons' help this week, and they kind of blew it for us on a 2-point conversion. Remember, what did you say about that earlier?
Well, my thing about the Falcons outplayed the Chiefs. They had the Chiefs had the trick play with the fake punt, and then they had the 2-point return. Those are two fluky plays, but over the course of the game, the Falcons outplayed them. But if you're a Broncos fan, it doesn't matter because the Chiefs got the W.
I know, and that's what we're going to get into in a minute here. Hey, Desiree, I really appreciate you staying in. I just flipped over to the chat, and I just saw you. You're still here. I appreciate it. I know you're up late. She's so cool. In my opinion, there, you know, we're as Bronco fans, we're upset over here on our side of town because we really needed the Falcons to come through on that game, and for a 1-point game off a 2-point Barry touchdown, or not even a touchdown, a 2-point conversion was pretty crazy. And then you get over to the Ravens and the Dolphins, which actually helped the Broncos get back into the playoffs, which they were knocked out of the playoffs, but it got us back in the playoffs by the Ravens beating the Dolphins, so got us back in 6th place. So the Broncos, the Broncos are going to be dangerous whatever seed if they land up in just because of that defense. I don't care what happens at quarterback, because look what happened last year. It was a disaster, and our quarterback only threw for 123 yards in the Super Bowl, and we still won the Super Bowl. So let's just get in the playoffs. That's all I'm asking on our side. So we need a little bit of help, but so the Dolphins helped us a little bit there. The Cowboys and the Vikings, 17-15. You tell me about that one, Rob.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't a pretty game. It was a game that it looked like the Cowboys were trying to give away a lot of penalties, turnovers, and the Vikings were really hungry. But the Vikings couldn't score. They were moving the ball up and down the field, but they couldn't put it in the end zone. And at the end of the day, when you don't put up points, you're not going to win many games. So that the Vikings can, talk about a play here and there, but overall, their lack of scoring was what cost them the game.
That's pretty cool. We didn't have a bio for you tonight, but I do want to give a shout out to the Cowboys for Dak and Zeke. They picked up two really great players, and they're just going to get better, and they're going to help the Cowboys win. I don't know what's going on with Tony Romo. I like Tony Romo; he is a great player. But as far as right now, the Cowboys look like they're going to go with Dak. Do you have any more on that? Do you have any more information on that?
Well, one of the things that the big controversy about Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, it wasn't as controversial as people thought. The Cowboys, they weren't fools. They weren't going to sit down Dak Prescott and have Tony Romo come in and take the train off the wheels. I mean, they just weren't going to do that. The problem for the Cowboys is that Tony Romo, he has a contract that's going to count $50 million against the salary cap for next year.
Yeah.
If they cut him, it's still going to cost them $33 million. So they need Tony Romo to renegotiate that contract. So how do you tell a player, guess what, you can't play, but by the way, do us a huge favor and renegotiate your contract even though you're not going to play? So what they're doing is saying, hey, we're going with Dak Prescott right now, but don't worry, we still have plans for you. This is still your team. We're just going to stick with him right now, and they're just telling him that so he can restructure his deal. As soon as he restructures that deal, then we'll see what's going to happen, and that's when they're going to show him the door. And I think you never know; he could end up in Denver.
I like Tony Romo. The problem is he's too injury prone. Every time we turn around, he got his pinky hurt. Pinky. I said pinky.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say words and they come out a little. They don't sound like the way they're supposed to sound.
It's not going to be the pinky. It's going to be fourth quarter when he throws that interception in the playoffs. That's what's going to kill you.
You remember that shootout, Peyton Manning and Romo, huh? That was a game.
Yeah,
that was a good game. Oh shoot, I'm over here.
He's a gunslinger in the regular season. I mean, he can do his thing, but you get him in the playoffs, and it just changes.
Everybody knows you could go back to preseason. You can go back before draft to the sports shows, and everybody knows who listens to the show. We have a lot of listeners. I have about 20 some messages to get to. I'll try to get to as many as I can, but excuse me. Everybody knows my Super Bowl pick this year before pre-draft was the Dallas Cowboys Denver Broncos Super Bowl 51. So if it's I still have hope. I still have hope. And the Cowboys are looking good. Cowboys are number one in the NFC, so shout out to the Cowboys right now. So we got to swing over to the Lions. We just got a couple more left. The Lions, they beat the Saints 28-13. That's pretty much a gimme game, I guess you call it. And then the Patriots, thank you, Desiree. All right. Thank you. The Patriots beat the Rams 28-10. There wasn't going to be much of a fight there. And then the Broncos over the Jags 20-10, and we'll get into that real quick. But I'm gonna give you the shout out to Karen. She's listening right now. I hope you will.